This one is curious because we've been talking a lot about whether or not premades are good for your pug groups. There's a lot of contention on this topic, to be honest, but we have seen a few examples very similar to this now in this season on this channel, but I think this one really does speak volumes about the situation and also combining a few other hot topics of Mythic Plus pugging. So let's get right to it. This is a Necrotic Wake 13 and it is submitted by a very active user on this channel. C. Villa sends it in saying, figure this one might tie into your whole thing about players stacked together in Discord being toxic. I'm trying to get my last IO of the season, so I ran a Necrotic Wake 13 with some Ragnaros players. I think they were a 3-stack. Definitely the Restoration Shaman and the Og were together. So yeah, dealing with Ragnaros players here, you know, there's a whole nother topic about this, whether or not that's controversial at this point. I'll leave that up to you guys, but we will, of course, still translate what we're reading here. It says, go con Discord amiwos, but I think it's a typo, I guess. I don't know how, because the W and the G are very far away, but maybe somehow a typo, meaning go into Discord, friends. Like, are you guys getting in Discord or something like that, right? Talking to the other people in the group from Ragnaros. Try to type in the second thing that gets said. Another kind of awkward translation. It says pass one to change Discord account, and then it recommends another typo fix here, maybe. So I don't know. You guys tell me if these are accurate translations. I'm sure you guys will know better than I will. And then the final comment is that it says pass it on. I don't know if this is supposed to be somebody's name, Mercies, or I don't know. Probably some misunderstanding of the translation, or maybe it's slang. But one way or the other, we can tell very clearly that they're talking about getting in Discord, that we can tell that this is some kind of a pre-made forming. So the person who records this says they don't speak Spanish, basically, and then the evoker clearly understands English, and he says, it's not for you, buddy. Don't worry, we are friends. Which is, like, I think even more of a red flag to me than if they just said nothing in reply, because now that you know this guy actually speaks English, he's communicating with his friends in party chat in a different language. This always seems like a little ignorant to me. I don't know, maybe it's just, you know, me being ignorant myself or something like that, but the group can't understand what you're saying and you say it publicly. I just always feel like that's just really, really ignorant. Like, why can't you just whisper the person if you want to get them in Discord? I never really understand why people treat it this way. So while we look at this video, this is actually like pretty smooth run outside of the actual ending. They do a great pull here. They do not successfully bloodlust. He has to actually like tell the shaman to bloodlust, which is kind of weird. But yeah, outside of not bloodlusting on this first pack, there's like not a single thing that goes wrong in this courtyard. So I want to talk a little bit about the concept of players being in Discord and having this prior association to you, because like I said, we made multiple videos on this channel just this season on this topic, and it always kind of results in some people trying to maybe defend themselves or, you know, give an opposing viewpoint. If you say that, okay, like us being in Discord together but not inviting you, right? Because there's like another layer on top of this, right? Like, it's one thing if everybody wants to get in Discord, but these guys are like, no, you're not invited. We're friends. We're Spanish. Don't try to speak to us. You know what I mean? I mean, that's clearly like a red flag in my book. And I don't think there's any value to having that in a pug for a few reasons. These players are likely not going to just be ignoring everything that occurs in the run. You can say that like, oh, great, you're an altruistic person and me and my friends are like signing up to keys to help people and all that stuff. But that's just not what's going on here. These guys are all in the same boat. They all need this key for score and they all want to succeed in it. But in the pug world, success is few and far between. So it's very unlikely that the key is going to go so smooth that all three of those guys in Discord are going to be like, man, this is going so great. I love this tank. It's just not going to happen. Like, I really doubt it. I really, really doubt it. So that leaves like two options. It's either total indifference or negative. And I think that's what the processing tree needs to look like in your head. Do you want to risk this where a group may have this lack of interest in the two people outside of their clique or whatever you want to call it, leaving you in a position where they may either be totally ambivalent to you or actually negative towards you just by default? And then if that happens in the negative output, you walk into the situation where there's three people unified against you. So it's going to happen in the Mythic Plus key itself. If this one guy is frustrated and the other two guys probably weren't bothered by it, they're going to just agree with their friend. So you have the situation where you now have basically 3 times more likelihood that somebody's going to be upset. And so if you are in a group like this in Discord and you're 100% sure that you have never felt this way about the players that you've invited to the group, or, you know, even worse, been invited into their groups, that's great. I'm glad to hear you say that. But unfortunately, it's not common that it would be that way. Most people who are trying to get like a duo or triple Q, they're doing this to potentially get a leg up. And they're probably doing it to get a leg up because they feel like their success rate is not where they want it. And of course, by default, when they feel that way, then they're going to air those grievances to their friends who they feel comfortable with. But yeah, I just wanted to get ahead of that conversation because it seems like it always gets brought up, because you're going to watch this boss die without a hitch. There's 0 deaths, really a perfect run so far. We're coming out of this first split in a very positive position. Everybody should be optimistic about it. But watch what actually happens here. This is the first moment of this derision that you're going to notice. And it's a really, really interesting and strange interaction. We get on our mount there and we switch to Crusader Aura. This makes mounted speed slightly higher. Is it something that you should do? No, maybe not. Is it something that you can do and it makes it slightly faster? I mean, yeah, obviously it's like slightly min-maxed, right? But look at the response to it happening in the chat. We have 2 different comments from 2 people who, again, we know are in Discord, saying Pally, Aura, Pally, Devotion, WTF. He literally has Crusader Aura on for like seconds. He at no point didn't have Devotion Aura on in combat, and they're commenting after the combat has already started, meaning they're not playing their characters during it. Like, watch how little time he actually has this on. He switches it on. You can actually see in the dead center of the screen the weak aura that has Devo on, gets to the top of the screen in like less than 10 seconds, doesn't even get off the mount, and then switches back to Devo like seconds before he throws to shield. And then it takes these guys like 3 seconds to react, and you can see their mini map on the top right here. They are taking so long to get here, probably because they're freaking typing about Devotion Aura, right? One of them noticed it and they both pounced on this guy. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Is this like an incredibly offensive example of it? No, absolutely not. It's just stupid on their part, but totally benign. It makes no difference to the key, but this is the behavioral pattern we are observing when you have people in Discord. They are quick to react towards each other, and they may both react towards you. And just like we saw in the video the other day with the backseater, that can really spiral into a position of pressure where now all of a sudden the dungeon is just made harder by these players dogpiling on small mistakes. So outside of that, the key is totally unremarkable. We're going to do a normal route. We have our first and only death of the entire key that we're going to look at here. It's actually a kind of strange one because you can see the Warlock in the bottom left. He actually dies to a swirl, but he looks well out of that swirl to me. Watch it again. Pay attention to the Warlock on the bottom left. And yeah, he's definitely out of that. And I see the orb that explodes that's nearest to him. That's not even exploded yet when he dies. So that is really, he's really out of that. That is the only strike on the record here. This is an otherwise perfect key up until the actual point of inflection that we are going to talk about today. And that is going to come here on Amarth, the second boss. And it is a pretty tech heavy boss, a boss with a lot of unique mechanics and that kind of challenges the player base in multiple ways. We have another Spanish comment. We have big buffs in all caps. Then we have Bursting D Entrada, which I guess means pop everything on the pull, I think is probably what they're trying to say there. And then he's saying, I'm going to use the spear here on the boss. I would not recommend that, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. So they're going to fight the boss. And you might see immediately, you know, we've actually talked about this a few times now in Necrotic Wake, some relatively common issue where we are going to just kind of tank in the dead center. And I get away with this pretty easily as a Blood Death Knight because I can grip the casters. But as a Paladin, I guess it's probably still doable. I mean, you have the shields to interrupt the mobs, but I don't know, man. It seems a little risky. I think it definitely would be better to tank against a corner. Is it mandatory? No, absolutely not. And anybody who is demanding it be mandatory, yeah, I don't know, man. Just stop pugging. Like, I don't know what to tell you. There's going to be people doing things that you don't 100% love, okay? And can you still succeed with them doing that? Yes. So stop nitpicking it and just try your best. You know what I mean? They actually run into a major issue here, though, and it is going to cause the argument that we are ultimately going to be focused on for this review. So here we are going to see now, and I don't really feel like this is an actual problem with the tanking strategy, to be honest. I don't know how what happens here happens, but I don't think it would change that much depending on where the ads come in. Let's like kind of break it down slowly to see exactly what's going on. So I feel like at this point, the healer's kind of struggling to keep up with the damage income, but we are going to throw our shield at the mob, making it not cast for a few seconds, and then he traps it. So, you know, that's kind of just unfortunate. Like, that's just pug stuff right there. So now by the time the mob's unsilenced, it's already casting again, and it's out of range. And then so we have two mobs that are casting, both out of range. Obviously, this is difficult to gather the mobs on its own, but we are going to get both kicks, and probably while doing so, I guess we just get turned around and die. Like, I'm not really sure how people die here. If you watch the health bars, it's very, very strange. Like, the Ogvoker is taking a lot of damage, but we don't see a successful cast go off. The boss is casting, but that appears to be casting on the tank, and then the Ogvoker dies, so that death happens first. Okay, so they're dead, and now we're at 49% health. The healer's really struggling here, I feel like. I don't know what else to say, because there's no actual casts that go out. We kick both of these casts, everybody's at 50% health right now, and the tank is just gonna die. Like, what can we do to save ourselves? We have the shield, we have a bunch of CDs up, so this is kind of just, you know, a healing pot. Like, yeah, there's a lot of different things that we could do to save ourselves here, and we kind of just die with all of this stuff off cooldown. But, you know, I think they're dying anyway. Like, the group doesn't look like it's living through this one way or the other, and this isn't actually even related to a cast going out. Like, nobody took damage from anything that wasn't going to happen on the fight as it was. So that's why, you know, this overarching conversation about these guys being in Discord kind of comes into play here, because what you're about to watch unfolds, and we're going to dissect that too. But why does it unfold? Why did we wipe there? You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if these guys are mad that he is not tanking it in the corner, and they're like giving up already because of that. Like, I've seen that ego battle a lot over the years where, well, this guy's not doing it exactly how we want him to do it, so forget it. This group's a GG, lol. You know what I mean? Like, is that definitely happening? No, I have no proof of that, but maybe there is proof. I don't know. I'll show you something in a second, but yeah, I don't have definite proof of that, but it definitely seems weird that like we just kind of die to something that should not have been a problem. Like, we already set through these mechanics multiple times and everybody survived. I don't know if you guys could explain what maybe causes these deaths outside of just, you know, the tank falling over. That once that person's dead, it's going to be GG anyway there. But of course, having the three other players at 50% health right there, it doesn't look good. Okay, so now it's gonna pop off, and this is why it was sent to me ultimately, because of this interaction. And you know, there's a lot going on both sides, but this is like exactly how you would expect it to go. So this player's actually trying to like identify how they died, and a great response from the fucking 0 skill spec in the game says, tank, big skill issues. That's the response. Really helpful. Thank you very much. Now I know. And the response on how, when asked how, you're tanking the boss in the middle. This boss is tanked in a corner. Now the response to that response is no one but me kicked, which is gonna chain into another argument that's again not relevant. Like, from what I'm watching from this footage, none of this actually mattered. They did kick, and they did not die to tanking in the corner or not. Like, that didn't seem to be relevant. Again, let me know if I'm missing something. But so this guy responds to the kicking thing now with like a new branching argument saying, all of us are kicking. Just you so afraid and desperate, trying to make all because you want to tome time, I guess. Yes or yes. Yes or yes. Those are the only two options. Paladin says, I was doing the dungeon like I do it. I'm not desperate, but okay. So at this point, I think he's saying that they're like trying to kick spells, but the tank is like desperately. I don't understand these words, and I don't know that they understand them very well. Like, so it makes me think that they're trying to say like the guy's just wildly kicking spells that don't need to be kicked, so our CDs are getting overlapped. And again, there's some evidence to that. In a second, I'm going to show you something funny. While that gets said, and unfortunately diverts from the previous conversation, we actually have this typed out. Show me what corner, which is really, really, really unfortunate that we're now arguing about kicking when it had no bearing on that at all, because there was an opportunity for learning here. You just back right corner, you just tank the boss there, and the ads kind of all spawn in that one little 90-degree angle, and they can all aggregate easier. Now, unfortunately, you know, instead of actually helping this guy, these guys just want to argue about nothing. And so the conversation now like branches a second time into, yeah, but you didn't skip the necromancer. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is my route. I don't know what to say. How is it GG? We wiped on the boss and had plenty of time. Yeah, exactly. But so at this point, they're just sitting here. Nobody's saying anything. The shaman leaves, okay? But the other guys are sitting in the group and they're not saying anything. Here's what he's gonna type that as well. Anyway, you are bad at AUG. Less damage than tank. Good luck. You gotta throw that one out there. Wouldn't recommend that if you don't want the conversation to continue, but hey, I get it. Everybody's frustrated. I love how the only word said in the entire video from the hunter is good luck after he says good luck. Like if it's just some guaranteed response that anybody's saying good luck to him, he's gonna say it back to them. So then they cut and now we get like a response. He's saying that it was like 30 minutes later. Let me read you the email from here. Run was chill until boss 2. Only notable thing before was me swapping to Crusader Aura, so we looked at all that. Boss 2, we're cruising, plenty of time. We wipe because a bunch of kicks go off, so that's not actually what happened. I don't know why you do wipe, to be honest, but die with multiple CDs up, so just not what actually happened. Anyway, Og starts flaming me. We argue a bit, group disbands. 30 minutes later, out of nowhere, the Og starts DMing me the attached image. So he actually sends me a picture, which is more relevant. We'll come back to the actual in-game. Right now, we see a bunch of chatter, and this guy's saying, you were on stream. Paladin replies like, oh, you were streaming? And the guy's like, no, I said you was on stream. Okay, that doesn't answer the question. Anyway, he says, viewers are shitting on you for that 13. OMG. Like, what? OMG, what? Like, what? I don't get it. The reply, that's great. The reply to that, KK. Great. Thanks for the whisper. Like, great conversation we're having here. So a great response here, if you ask me. Do you want me to get in your Discord and we can go over the VOD? They eventually reply saying, no, obviously no. I'm not the streamer. Was one of the DPS. What's the streamer's name? Nah, it's my friend. I'm never gonna tell you. Ha ha ha. It's like at this point, it's like, what are we even talking about? Brother, you literally told them that you were friends when you joined the group, right? There's only 2 of them in there at most. Like maybe only one of them. We know it's gotta be either the shaman or the warlock. But so the guy says, tell me your Discord tag. I'm going to sell some pictures. I have no idea what's even being said at this point. He says, gonna sell some pictures? What does that even mean? We'll never find out. That is the end of the conversation. Nothing else gets said. Okay, but some interesting information comes out here, right? So again, back to the email. Tried getting into their Discord, no luck. He says a stream was making fun of me, but won't say who the streamer is. Well, I did a quick Twitch search. Turns out it was the shaman with 5 viewers. Had to throw that in there. I translated all the Twitch chats from the dungeon and a bit after, and it is attached in the same image. Here is the stream chat translated by ChatGPT. It's everything from the start of the dungeon to a bit after the key. I don't understand like any of this because obviously some of this is probably in response to something the streamer is saying. So anyway, it looks like it's like a bunch of friends talking to each other about potentially like playing something new next season or getting ready for next season. I'm not really sure. There's one comment that really stands out, and it's like these comments here. I'm not really sure why they are here or like what's actually being said to who here, because this is very, very confusing if this was actually accurate based on the translation. I wasn't criticizing Timu's English interrupts. I don't know what the hell that means. It's very strange because the word unsubbing should have a direct translation. Like, I don't know if they're saying paladin or Timu is like a phrase people use to say like budget nowadays, I guess. I have no idea what they're trying to say here. Presumably they're talking about the paladin here. I wasn't criticizing the paladin's interrupts. I was just saying that by trying to kick everything, we lost a lot of interrupts on that boss for both the lock and me. So this seems to be confirming that it was the Ogvoker, because obviously the shaman is streaming and that is not the name of the account. I guess maybe the streamer responds to the person. So maybe they aren't in Discord. I really don't know. Maybe like the guy's in Discord and the other people are just listening, but they're typing in his chat or something like that. There's so many levels to this. It's hard to even keep up with it all. But maybe there's some conversation happening here between these two, and then the response to that conversation is, so don't claim something if you didn't read it completely, dumbass. Calling his own friend a dumbass. Again, like, who knows? But anyway, then somebody says, yeah, put him in his place to Zyra. Zyra is the healer. That's the guy who's streaming. Perhaps saying like to the streamer, like, yeah, don't take that or something. Like, I don't know. It's so hard to tell. And I really wish that this was just in English, because we have the VOD and we'd be able to look at the VOD and it would tell us probably a lot about it, but it's probably nothing. I mean, it's probably just a little bit of a jokey argument or something like that, but it ends by saying, all right, just kiss, idiots. But yeah, the same name as the shaman in the game is the name of the Twitch stream. There's like the VOD. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get like super petty on this, but like, I don't know. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't tell if they're actually talking shit about the guy. I can't tell if they're actually arguing, but you can see like this dude is like obviously a big supporter of the channel. Like they're obviously here, friends a lot, playing together. We can see the guy like in real time stop to type about the Pally aura, like literally literally in combat and the Ogvoker is just like behind him. But anyway, it seems very odd that like the Ogvoker would come back like many minutes later, try to reignite this argument, and then bring up the stream and then say things like, oh, I'm not going to tell you who was streaming, when they know that they were all friends. Like, I guess they forgot. I don't know. Who knows? It's so weird. The game is played in such a weird way, such an antisocial way now. It's sad that we even have to talk about this. It really is sad, because we're talking about something that to me is obvious, like a pre-made of people from Ragnaros who are probably already in Discord, but then they're talking about being in Discord and be like, yeah, not for you. This is for my friends only. Like, why the hell would I want to play with those people? It's either going to be neutral or negative. It's never going to be positive. It goes the same way every time. And because the language barrier, we can't even understand the argument at the end of the day, or why it's even unfolding. Like, I don't even know. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. This is just an interesting topic, and I always like discussing it. If you guys know especially anything about that wipe or that I missed there, please comment on that. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for submitting all these great runs. I am really appreciative of it. There is so many interesting runs that you guys have sent me. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys in the next one.